was on fire, no one could save me but you. It's strange what desire makes foolish people do. I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you. Good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. All right, here we go. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Now remember, this podcast is strictly for entertainment purposes only, especially one like this. I haven't done it for a while, so I am going to answer 20 fun and intriguing questions. Now, I don't know how much fun, and I don't know how intriguing they really are. Again, I have not listened to these questions at all, so I have no clue. And I don't know how the creative juices or the memory is running right now in my brain, so I can't tell you how good this is going to be or bad. So here we go. 20 fun and intriguing questions. Number 1. Hopefully this can be a short podcast, right? And I'll be able to get through all these questions because it's just simple questions, right? Okay, here we go. Remember. No, I won't say it. You know. Anyhow, if you could swap lives with any fictional character for a day, who would it be and why? Fictional character. Well, I wish it would just roll off the tongue. I'm thinking of a superhero, but I don't want to be a superhero. Maybe Theo Huxtable. And that might be a weird answer for some people, but back when I was a kid and they used to have the show, The Cosby Show on, and it always, at least for the beginning of it, always seemed so wholesome, and the family seemed to have everything together, and they were fluent, and there was, full of lots of love and lessons and fun in the family, So, yeah, I think I'd pick Theo Huxtable. I mean, I could say Superman or Hulk or, like superheroes but yeah, I think that's what I would pick. Now that I'm older and I've been around for a bit, seen a lot of different things. So I think that's who I'd pick. So if you don't know who that is, you can check him out. Theodore Huxtable. All right. Number 2. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done to impress someone? Yeah, ridiculous. I would say the most ridiculous thing that I ever did was try to be a lot extra on the basketball court. If that was just playing basketball with the shirt off, really no reason to do it. I had clothes. I would say it's the most ridiculous thing. Or the funny time was I think I was about 19 and I was playing basketball, and that time I was actually fit, and I was playing on my driveway, had a basketball net up on the garage and everything, and some girl was out there watching me, whatever it is, and I think I was putting extra emphasis on how defined muscular my calves were. And funny enough, it worked. The person actually approached me and asked me, "Oh, you really have some strong legs there." Blah 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 blah. And meanwhile, I was like, every step, I was like, not every step, but I was flexing every time it was time to make a jump shot, or I'd take off and try to dunk it or whatever it is. I'd make sure there was extra flex action happening. Really weird, but yeah. Well, it says, "What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever done?" So I think that's pretty much as far as it goes. I think I've probably done other stuff as I got older, but I don't know if they're very ridiculous. All right, third question. This isn't going too good, but let's just fight it through. And hopefully you'll decide to use these questions for yourself. I mean, sometimes you have get-togethers with your friends, and I would suggest maybe I'm gonna put these in the description, and what you could possibly do is, well, if you can't remember, or if I don't have enough room on the descriptions, I guess you could play it and you could ask, and as I'm reading them off, you can stop the podcast and ask somebody that you're sitting listening to it with, maybe in your car or wherever. Maybe you're going for a long drive. Maybe it's time before Bible study and you just want to do a little get to know you, just regular, hopefully wholesome questions. And yeah. Anyhow, but I think it'd be kind of cool for a bunch of people to do, maybe 5 people, because I think 10 people would be too many. But anyway, next question. If you could have dinner with any 3 historical figures, who would they be and what would you talk about? Well, as a Christian, I would choose Jesus, of course. I would pick my father. And I would pick maybe my brother. And I know these aren't historical like George Washington or Marcus Garvey or Bob Marley or whatever it is, but I would pick these people because I would like to have a nice conversation about life, about the meaning of life, besides of course, as a believer, giving glory to God and worshiping God, and loving your neighbor and doing good to other people. And I don't know, I just think I'd have a lot of questions to ask, and it'd be cool to have my father, my brother there, or my sister there, or someone like that. I would just like to go through things about life. Number 4. What's the strangest habit you have and that you're willing to admit? Habit. Strangest. I got a lot of strange habits, man. I don't think I want to get up in my business like that. That's embarrassing. You never know who's listening, right? I mean, you're listening, so there's that. Habits. Well, I don't know how strange it is to cut your hair every week, but when I was a kid, 13, and I wanted a haircut. My parents were usually off by a week or two when I wanted to get the hair done. So I started cutting it myself. So now I pretty much cut my hair every week. So I don't know if that's a strange habit. It's not really that strange. But yeah. Yeah, besides that, my other thing would be maybe, but I don't do it anymore really, so it's not really a habit anymore, but I used to spend an extraordinary amount of time cutting the lawn, and edging it with a trimmer and figuring out different ways of striping it to make it look really cool and admirable to those who passed by, which it did. So again, I don't know how strange that is, but it was certainly a waste of time, especially in a country like Canada or an area like Ontario where you get snow for 6 months out of the year, and all the work you put into a garden is pretty much obliterated by November. Next question. If you were a superhero, oh, here we go. What would your superpower be and why? Well, again, I would normally pick the Incredible Hulk, but when you think about it, he was just angry and able to defeat a lot of people. But I'm not very angry these days, so I don't think I need that type of power. So I think I just watched the movie Chronicle. Maybe I'd pick Superman, so I could fly. I could do all the Superman stuff. I just think that'd be really cool. Next question. Oh, this is gonna be a quick podcast. What's the funniest prank you've ever pulled or been a part of? I think one of the funniest pranks, and it's not that funny, and please don't do this at home, whatever it is when I first got together with my wife, the funniest thing, or thing that she thought was so funny, was have me go take a shower and then show up with a cup of cold water, and as you're off there in the hot water minding your own business, all of a sudden it rains ice cold water in the middle of the shower, making you pretty much scream out. So I pretty much like the idea, and I'm pretty sure I did it to her a few times too. So that was pretty funny. There was one that I tried when I was a kid. I used to watch this show, some of you remember, called The Little Rascals. And I think there was one time probably Spanky or Alfalfa, one of those guys, glued somebody to a seat. So I literally tried this in grade 2 or 3, but it backfired. It was that clear glue that your teachers let, the little dab will do ya that the teachers used to say. So I went there. I had that clear glue that comes in it used to come in that clear bottle, and it was kind of greenish, I guess. All I know is I used so much glue, put it on the person's seat, that they literally went to the teacher and told them that I peed on their chair. So, that prank kind of backfired. So, there's that. So, I gave you a double there. If you could create a new holiday, what would it be and how would people celebrate it? It's funny you asked. Back when Google was just getting popular, maybe not just getting popular, but I had this wise idea. I wanted to pull this prank on a couple people I knew. So I said, you know what? I don't know if you guys heard that they're developing a new day. They want an 8th day. They don't want it to be 7 days a week anymore. It's going to be 8. And they're going to name this 8th day Fun Day. And funny enough, I think I told them to Google it or whatever it is, and it was actually there. There was something about an 8th day of the week, and it was Fun Day or something like that. But all I know is it was almost legitimized by the fact that when the person tried to Google it, there was actually something called Fun Day. So you can go ahead and Google it and see what you see now. But that was pretty cool. But how would you celebrate it? It was, I said it was one day after Sunday, I believe, and it was called Fun Day. So how would people celebrate? Just whatever was fun. Total day just to goof off. So that's how you would celebrate it. Next question. What's your guilty pleasure TV show or movie that you're embarrassed to admit you love? I don't really. The funny thing is, I'm a movie buff. Like, I'm that guy. I've probably seen over five. No, maybe there's not even five. I don't even know. I know I've seen more than 1,000 movies. Pretty sure, and that's a lot. That's a lot of wasted time. So if I was to look at something that was a guilty pleasure or let's see, a show or a movie, embarrassed to admit. Let's see. Well, maybe some people would say like I did like The Notebook, but I've only watched it once. Benjamin Button. I saw those tearjerkers and stuff. One movie that I would pick, but again, I'm not embarrassed because the movies that I actually like. Like, I'm not sitting there saying I watched Barbie. I still haven't seen that movie. So if it's something like supposed to emasculate me or whatever it is, it doesn't really exist. I'll watch anything. I've seen Bridesmaids. I've seen Gone Girl. And the list goes on and on and on. I would say Biloo. It's called Biloo. It's actually Biloo Barber, but I think both mean the same thing. But anyway, it was a Indian Bollywood movie, and it's called Biloo. And I always seem to get emotional a little bit when he finally finds out that his friend is there and he's speaking about him and he's in the crowd, and it's just a really good, really good movie. Just about two guys who were close friends, and one became famous, and the one that became famous thought that the one that did not become famous kind of just forgot about him, and he moved away. So when he went back to find him, he couldn't find him. And the one who wasn't famous, he kept telling his family that he knew this guy and he's coming to the town and everything like that, but he was scared to really make contact. He did try to make contact because his whole family wanted to meet the guy, this huge big star, but at the same time he was scared that he was too small and insignificant, that his friend wouldn't remember him. And of course, anyhow, really good movie. You should check it out. If you are into foreign films or you haven't watched very many foreign films, then it'd be a good movie to start with for sure. Let's see. 9. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Well, I would say mashed potatoes, steak, well done, and probably some asparagus on the side with a nice long glass of G2, Gatorade 2. Or something really, maybe some pink lemonade or something like that. Of course, the acid would probably get me after a while if I'm always drinking it, but let's just say that my stomach had amazing fortifying abilities, so there'd be nothing wrong with my stomach after eating this every day for the rest of my life. All right, number 10. What's the weirdest thing you believed as a child? I don't know. I almost believed that there might have been, people always said there was a Santa Claus. There was a real guy and he was out wherever, I don't even know, Scandinavia or something like that, and he was really giving out presents. So not that my parents ever taught me about Santa Claus, because they never did. I learned about Jesus from a young child, but for some reason everybody else seemed to. So you kind of get into the spirit of the, I wonder. But I've never literally prayed or went and asked the dude for anything at the mall or whatever it is. So, but I would think that's probably the weirdest or horrible belief that I might have almost kind of had. All right. 11. If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be? An expert. Well, now, maybe writing. There's just something about getting into a good flow and writing something, like writing your thoughts and being able to articulate them perfectly in a letter. a blog or something like that, or or maybe my podcast. I think it'd be really, really cool to, yeah, I would say the writing, because that's just, just something about communication, something about leaving a letter or a pile of letters for those who come after you. And, maybe I would develop something called Rules to Live By. And I'm sure there's a book. But and I'd probably just, if I could master the memory of my life and be able to articulate it in writing and into a collection as a book, I think that'd be really cool. So I think I'd love to be able to master that for sure. 12. What's the most awkward situation you've ever found yourself in? I would say anytime I found myself in front of a crowd of people and was expected to speak. Horrible, horrible public speaker. Even when I thought I knew, like my latest latest time that I've remembered actually really bombing in front of a bunch of people was at college. I was supposed to do oral presentation with a group. Everybody had their little part, and it came down to me, and I was having the hardest time getting the words out, even though I believed that I understood and knew my topic and the stuff that I was supposed to be getting through to people, but I was rushing things. I knew I was talking fast, and I couldn't stop myself. I just kept going on, and eventually I slowed down, and it got better once we got to the question part, and I was actually able to have a dialogue with the audience. I noticed having a dialogue with an audience rather than just sitting there presenting stuff as if you are expert on something are a totally different thing. I would love to, go through a field of questioning with an audience. Is kind of cool to me. So, but yeah, for sure, public speaking, it's always awkward. Okay, 13. Now we're moving right along. We only have 7 more. Yeah. If your life was a movie, there we go, right up my alley. What would be the title? What would the title be, and who would you play? Well, I would play myself, of course. And because my life is a movie, let's see, maybe that's kind of a crazy question. Okay, if your life was a movie, what would the title be, and who would you play? Who would play you? I can't read. Okay, so here we go. I've already been booted out of my own movie. I would like to play myself, but I guess I just played myself. It'd probably be something like The Quiet Life of MCM. And who would play me? Well, I think I'd pick Denzel Washington to play me. I think that'd be pretty cool. He's probably on the old side to play me, but I'm sure they can, CGI him up, make him younger, whatever it is. Yeah. Okay, moving right along. 14. What's your go-to karaoke song, and how do you perform it? For me, it would probably be Redemption Song by Bob Marley. And it's just because I've sung it so many times, and I have my own different way of singing it. And because I am, my ancestry, my background, my parents are Jamaican, I'm able to sing in the Jamaican accent. Not saying that I sing in patois, but just enough that it sounds like I'm a real true yardie, singing. So, yeah, I think that'd be the song. And if it was a gospel song, maybe As a Deer Panteth I don't even know how that song goes. As a Deer, I think it's called. If you could travel to any point in history, when and where would you go? If I could travel back in history, I mean, there's so many places, so many times. Like maybe I would like to go back to the time when my father was a young guy, way back in the day. But I think I would probably go back to a day, the day that I actually tried to videotape my father and myself having a long conversation. Now, I did videotape it, but unfortunately, as things happen in life, somehow that tape got either taped over or lost. So the funny thing is I taped it. It was probably a good hour to 2 hour conversation, and it was never watched. So I would say then, because at that time my mother would be around, my sister would be around, my brother would be, everybody would be around. And there would just be so many questions that I'd like to ask these people, you know? I'm telling you, when you get your life to a certain point, famous history, or, I could say, well, I wanted to be there the day that Jesus walked on water, or at the ascension when he went up to heaven, or the day that Adam and Eve were walking through the garden. You know what I mean? I could pick those days, but just simple for me, who I am, and just stuff that affects me as a person as I am now, and talking to people who are not around, and I don't have like their words like I have the word of God to read and to learn more about Christ. I would just like to have those days back, because there are questions, there's real conversations that I would have loved to have had from, more of a man-to-man kind of a thing, rather than father-son, if that makes any sense. All positive, of course, but just want to know more. That's all. Always want to know more. $16. What's the craziest dream you've ever had? Easy. One time I was, how old was I? I can't even remember. I think it was my 20s, late 20s. I had a dream. I was waiting for some money, and I've been waiting for some money for about a week or two, and it was promised, and it was late, and it was late, and it wasn't there. And then one night I had a dream. Actually, I'm going to talk about a couple, but I had a dream that I was literally lifted out of my body, outer body experience. There was this amazing breeze blowing all around me, and it felt really, really cool. And I believe I was looking down at myself sleeping. Like it was like, almost felt like it wasn't even a dream. And anyhow, something just told me, I had this sense of feeling like, I was in the money. The money was going to be there. And it was probably the most money that I'd ever gotten at one point in my life, that I was free to do what I will, or what I would like to do with it. And yeah, so that's about it. I would say that one. Or the day that I learned to ride a bike, the night before, I had a dream that I was riding a bike, and I'd struggled. I was only able to go down the hill at my street where I was living, and for some reason, I had a dream the night that I was riding a bike. And they say if you can see it, then you can do it. And sure enough, I had the dream the nighttime, and the next day I was able to ride my bike. That happened to me a couple times. It also happened to me swimming. The night before I learned how to swim, I had seen myself swimming, and sure enough, the next day, after bobbing and weaving a little bit, I was able to all of a sudden just start swimming after trying for most of the summertime of my 12th year. And I straight away went into the deep end, straight away raced all my friends who were in the pool with me and were able to be in the deep end, and I was in the shallow end, and I beat all of them. Very first swim race, very first day I learned how to swim. Legend. And again, that happened to me another time. It's kind of funny. It happened to me another day when the day before I got my license. I had a dream that I was driving a purple, like it was probably a Camaro. Anyhow, next day I passed my test. Now, I failed my driving test twice. Never have I had a proper road accident. I mean, I've had a couple bumps here and there of somebody sliding into me because of the snow in a winter day in Toronto, but just strange, But I guess, it's the vision. You need to, I guess I would be a walking, talking example of if you can literally see yourself doing something, and maybe it's something that you've been trying for a long time and just can't get the concept. For some reason, dreaming yourself, seeing yourself in a dream doing it, makes it all the more real. And for some reason, for me anyway, it becomes the fact that I can do it, and I did it, which is kind of cool. Let's see. If you had to describe yourself as an animal, which one would it be and why? Well, I like to pick a lion, but I wouldn't because I don't know that I'm that ferocious. Maybe something like a rhinoceros, because rhinos can run fast. They're most unlikely to be messed with in the savannah. They're just so big and bulky, and they can handle things. I mean, they chase elephants, and in most cases, lions are scared to even try to attack one. So maybe a rhino. Let's see. What's the most unusual talent you have? I don't know. For some reason, I can spit really far. And when I say far, I mean like I can, not to be disgusting, at least 20 feet, 30 feet, easy. Besides that, no, I'm not going to get, that's gross. I would say, here's another unusual talent, but maybe there's a lot of people who can do it. I'm very good at guessing. I'm very good at drawing the right conclusion in my own weird way. Like if we were playing that game, Headbands or something, and you had a picture on your forehead, and somebody had to talk, and person might have to say one little slight thing, almost like I could read their mind. And I was generally, if it was out of 30 people, I'd probably be like one or two to guess what was on the word or whatever, the picture that was on my forehead for some reason. I don't know, not headbands though. If it was just a word, I think. For some reason, headbands, I wasn't that great. I don't know why. Let's see. Number 19. Great, we're at 32 minutes. Easy stuff. If you could live anywhere in the world for a year, where would it be and why? Okay, I guess I can't give you the boring answer because I would say at home, but I mean I'm living there anyway, right? So I would probably say for a year, I think I'd pick probably Miami, or maybe a resort in Jamaica. There you go, a resort in Jamaica. It'd be always a bunch of different people coming through, lots of stuff happening, a whole live place, and then I could still steal away and find my corner where I could be quiet while all the action is happening. People watching and stuff like that. For some reason, I like to be around the action, and I don't necessarily want to be in the middle of it, but it's nice to know that stuff's going on. And that's probably just a weird thing about me. All right, last question. Who knows what it will be? And I hope you've had a okay time. Just me answering some random questions. I said you should try this with your friends, with your husband, with your wife, with your siblings, with your friends. Maybe you want something to do, and just it's kind of cool. Like they're get to know you questions, but I guess yeah. And sometimes you think you know a person. Well, these definitely are questions that not the average person is going to ask you. So yeah. Okay, what's the funniest thing that has happened to you recently? Mm. It's not really that funny, I guess. There was a situation that happened and I needed to go to an insurance company, and I was told that when I would get to this big building that I needed to bring these documents and I needed to place them into a gray box across from the security guards. I got to the building, had to walk all the way around because everything was roped off and locked off, got into the building, and I found the security guard, found the gray box across from his desk, and then it wasn't sufficient for me. The guy told me that I could take a picture as I was putting the document into the gray box just to prove that it actually happened. But I mean, at the end of the day, if they didn't get it, they wouldn't get it. And even if I took a picture is not going to show that it's an original. Anyhow, I didn't trust it. So then I was talking to the security guard. I asked if I could use the phone because there was a paper there by the gray box that said that I could do so. Of course, he let me use the phone. He said, but nobody's going to answer because they're all hybrid or whatever, working from home remotely, whatever it is. So then he said, why don't you just go downstairs to the mail room, where they had about 5 to 10 people working in a mail room, taking care of a whole bunch of insurance stuff. And I didn't know who to give these papers to. So I called the company back, sat there on the phone. I was starting to get a little bit frustrated. People inside the mailroom was wondering why I was standing there at the window, and everybody was trying to get the stuff from me so I could go on my life and they can go back looking at their cell phones, whatever they do in there while they're supposed to be working. And anyhow, I called the company, talked to the person I needed to speak to. I said, I asked the guys, is it better for me to give the documents to an individual in the mailroom downstairs in this 30-story, 40-story building, or should I just go back upstairs? Should I go up to this? No, I didn't say go upstairs. Or should I just put it in the gray box? And they said, you know what? It's best as I told you, or whatever as they told you, to put it in the gray box because you could never get into the mailroom. And then I just thought it was funny that I said, listen, buddy, I'm standing in the middle of your mailroom right now. And there was like silence on the phone because I was wondering how the heck I got down there, like if it was Fort Knox. And yeah, I was around a whole bunch of people's mail that were probably very important mails. And I was on the side where they were just sitting there in boxes. I could have taken 5 extra pieces of mail just for no reason, just to be a jerk. And those people who put their mail probably in that gray box would have been none the wiser and wondered what happened. But anyway, I just found it kind of funny that this guy was so sure that I couldn't get to that level of clearance in that building, and I got through there very, very easy. Anyhow, let's call it quits, y'all. We're almost at 40 minutes. Good enough. 37 minutes and 38 minutes. All right. Anyhow, this is MCM, and this is You're Probably Right, signing off. Until next time, take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 docs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, well, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully, the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.